Deep Dive Film School makes no claim of ownership of the film footage used in this episode. The film footage is owned entirely by the copyright holders. Also, we're going to spoil the hell out of this movie, so this is your warning. Welcome to Deep Dive Film School!
Oh, this week we're going to get into that batshit crazy scene from Wolf of Wall Street. You know which one it is. Let's do it!
Let's go! All right, everybody, I am Adam Sherlock.
And I'm Adam Pulcher.
And we're back in the boxes, you guys, at least for a minute.
Yeah, just for a couple episodes.
World's kind of crazy, but that's okay. It does not mean that we were not going to keep giving you guys good content.
Right.
If you like what you see /hear, please like and subscribe. You can find us on all the spaces and places that people what, Adam?
Find good media, Sherlock. Yes, make sure that if you like what you see, please, like and subscribe. Do the notification bell if you're on YouTube. Subscribe on the podcast. Give us a rating on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you watch your stuff. Really appreciate it.
It all helps.
All the engagement from everyone.
Indeed. Now, this week we are going to get into that one scene from The Wolf of Wall Street. This is the quaaludes aren't working scene, which is like, if when you watch the movie itself is insane and ridiculous and funny and over the top.
Yeah.
But you don't truly realize it's going to go to, the only thing I can compare it to is like the scene in Old School where he accidentally shoots himself in the neck with the tranquilizer gun.
Got a fucking dart in your neck.
Right? He's like, you're cool, man. You're crazy.
I like you, but you're crazy.
You don't know it's going to go to that insanity level.
And God bless Martin Scorsese for taking us there.
Totally.
This movie, after witnessing multiple accounts with his of debauchery, and including sex and drugs and everything with Jordan Belfort and his friends in this 3-hour epic movie. I forgot this movie was so long.
That's basically it's basically just Satan and his friends cackling all the way to the bank through most of the movie.
It's so damn enjoyable, though. Holy cow!
Oh yeah.
The movie itself, but this scene in particular. This movie. It's a very Scorsese scene. He's just beating you over the head with this ridiculousness, right? And the extremes. And this whole movie is extreme. Yeah. And so for this to be the most extreme scene in a very extreme movie, we have to talk about it. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, you're talking about the cherry on top of the cherry on top of the cherry, right? Well, and I think it's worth noting that DiCaprio had the rights from Jordan Belfort for this story for years.
Interesting.
And he didn't have Scorsese attached for a while, and he could not get a studio to go near it because it's Satan and his friends laughing
it's so
all the way
debaucherous.
To the bank, right?
Yeah, it's
constant. Like it. Well, and I talk to people who don't like this movie where the tonality of it is so dark that they're like, I feel reckless for laughing. I feel dirty to watch this and enjoy what's happening.
No, it is entertainment. Please watch it. And the fact that he's so bought into it already, I didn't realize that about that he knew exactly how he wanted to play this.
He knew exactly. He had a vision, and so what happened is that what every investor he went to was like, tone it down, tone it down, tone it down. And he went to Scorsese, got Scorsese on board, and then they were able to find investors.
Tone it up.
and he said in interviews, DiCaprio said this was the scene. Like, once they knew, we have private investors, we're not beholden to anybody who wants it to be a certain way. They were like, let's fucking go for it. And so literally in these scenes, DiCaprio is like, I never did quaaludes. Like, I have no idea what that's like. And that Belfort laid on the ground and like acted for him what it's like.
Wow.
And so that's how DiCaprio like got like, oh, okay. He's like, Belfort's not a great actor. And he's like, but when he was doing it, I got down on the ground with him and was like, oh, okay. Like you literally can't speak English anymore. And you're just in terror trying to like yell for your mommy. Right. And so that's what he went for. But I love this idea of like, it's a very bootstrap kind of indie film almost vibe to be like, we really want this scene in there, so we need investors that aren't going to be bummed when we're like, hey, here's where the movie's going. It's going this fucking crazy.
Well, and once you get Scorsese signed on to something, especially something like this with what, his history of the kinds of films that he makes, he's probably got investors that just totally trust him. They're not worried. They're not worried about the perception of their production company will look like if this scene comes on here. Like, and honestly, this scene proves how deep Scorsese will go to make a scene masterful.
Totally. I was just going to say they talked about making it, and DiCaprio said this to Scorsese. How close can we get this in tone? Obviously not as the same scene, but in tone to the stir the sauce scene in Goodfellas.
Sure.
Just coked out, right? Just insane.
I think this is better than that scene. I like if we're ranking. If we're ranking Scorsese scenes, not only is it fucking hilarious, but the levels of what's going on here and how he decides to reveal certain things to us and what we actually think is going on is so awesome. Not only is it the voiceover, but the preparation, the execution, all of it is so enjoyable. And
take us through the scene. What is the exact scene, or at least the introduction to the scene? How about that?
That one scene from Wolf of Wall Street is the quaalude scene, like you said. But Donnie shows up to the office with 20 real, what are they, lemon 714 quaaludes. And apparently he has some guy who's been saving them. And these guys are so excited to get high, right? They can't wait to get high. To the point where he does an enema and like makes himself puke so nothing is going to mess with his high, right? And you don't fuck with my high. Let's start off with one and see how it goes, right? Let's see how it goes. And
famous last words. Last words.
Totally. And he's like, "Oh, my guy says we only need one. We're good."
Yeah.
And they're 15 years old, and after a minute, I love that they're watching Family Matters. They're just sitting there watching Urkel go up in a hot air balloon, and it's just magical. Why he chose that, I don't know why, but I appreciate it. Especially, I guess it's that time of I'm thinking of the time period that this takes place in. But after 30 something minutes, they're like, yeah, I'm not feeling anything. Like maybe our tolerance over these years has just gotten the best of us or whatever.
One more.
Like you said,
one more.
Like you said, classic mistake. I go to the Nick Swartzen thing about eating edibles with weed, and he's like, hey, just take one, wait an hour.
Yeah. Don't rush. You don't need to rush. Yeah, because
it's not instant. It's not instant.
a lot of us who enjoy recreational drugs knows what happens when you're like, I can't feel shit. Again, famous last words. Next thing you know, that's an edible, a marijuana thing.
Yeah,
it's like that's not even close to what these guys are doing. Well, I love that they're working out down in the gym to try and like get it to go through their bodies. And she comes downstairs. Margot Robbie comes downstairs and is like, "What are you doing?" Because they're like working out at like 10 p.m. Right, like.
Yeah, no doubt. And they're like, yeah, what are you guys doing? And they're like, hey, let's just take two more each. And so, at this point, we're at 4, right? We're at 4 each. And then he gets, and this is the pivot, the turning point of the scene, and really kind of what we learn about the scene is when Bo Dietl calls. And he has an urgent call. He's like, I can't talk to you on this phone. Get out of there. Come to a country club. Or get to a payphone, and the closest payphone. He has to leave, even though he just took these. He has to leave to get whatever information Bo has.
And this is like, and this is where it turns into, a famous Scorsese style scene, which is get out of the house. That the phone's bugged, kind of a thing. Like you think of Goodfellas, you think of Casino, you think of all these movies where that is a common trope of this sort of gangster lifestyle our characters exist in. The only difference is that most of the time, the Scorsese characters are pretty damn smart, right? Like, they're savvy enough that they do go to underground parking garages and switch cars 4 times and cover their mouth when they talk. But Jordan Belfort is a fucking moron. And so it's taking the Scorsese trope and then tossing on top of it, again, this like super bad, old school Anchorman idiocy, where it's like the most pivotal thing that's happened to Jordan Belfort, where like he's finally being caught, right? Like someone finally is onto his bullshit. He's taken 4 Quaalude tablets that are slow acting.
Well, and as he's leaving, Donnie is taking more as he's leaving. Right?
Yeah,
it's
he's eating them he's eating them like Tic Tacs. He's like, I'm safe. I'm at home, right?
And he's like, yeah, we've got the voiceover. He's like, luckily it was only a mile away from my house. He gets to the payphone, talks to Bo, and realizes, hey, Donnie is kind of screwing him over, and I think it's Bert or Brett got arrested in the parking lot that they were supposed to meet in. And
Bert has gotten arrested because Donnie's a dumbass. Yeah. Like if you see the scene right before it, he's talking shit about Donnie, about Brett's mom, all this stuff, and the cops
getting into
get
it.
him.
Yeah, they're getting into it. But once he's having this conversation, understands that Donnie's kind of like turned on him a little bit or did something and didn't tell him, right? Or whatever it is, it wants to call him out on it. And Bo on the phone is like, what are you saying? Huh? What's going on? And you're like, well, that's a weird thing to say. And then we start seeing what's really happening. And this is, again, the beauty of what Scorsese's doing, because he's been mumbling for a few minutes probably. And he's like, what are you saying? Are you high? Are you high? And
we're going, no, he's fine. Like, because we're still kind of inside his head.
And you almost forget that he took him for a second, right?
Yeah.
And then you hear him like,
I said, that's right.
What the fuck are you saying?
I said,
are you fucking high?
I can't more FBI.
phone. And you're like, oh, that stuff. And he talks about, what does he say? He said, I skipped the tingle phase and went straight to drool phase.
Yeah.
And found a new phase, the cerebral palsy phase. And honestly, this is where the genius of the scene, and it's been genius, up until this point, obviously, but the full reveal of this insane scene starts when us as an audience realizes what's going on, and he falls down on the floor drooling in the middle of this country club lobby.
He's like a crying baby. Yeah. Like he can't move his arms or legs, and he's just like, it's like
he can't talk. You can't understand what he's saying.
It's like the Elephant Man. Like he seriously is like, and luckily while he's in the country club, no one's around. No one has seen him do this, right?
Yeah, there's no host at the front or anything, luckily, for sure. It's so, of course he took the Lambo. You got to take the Lambo when you go when you go a mile.
That is the joke on top of the joke. Like, we're already deep in the joke, and then the Lamborghini is just the next layer, because when he crawls outside, and I love this again, you talk about the Scorsese filmmaking tricks.
What's actually happening versus what's really is. It's the stairs, right? The stairs. And
it makes me want to see, I mean, I don't know if Wolf of Wall Street is the closest Scorsese will ever come to a full-blown gag comedy. If it is, bless you, Marty.
Bravo.
But if it isn't, and you still have that in you, holy shit, I can't wait to see you do like some rebirth of Pink Panther style thing, because his understanding of visual cues and then using them for comedic effect is brilliant, because when he looks down the stairs, it's like 27 stairs.
Yeah.
And then it's like 6 stairs.
It's actually in reality from the other angle. It's when we're not in his POV, we see what the reality is, but from his POV, it's a couple, and he just has to throw himself down these stairs. So ridiculous. And he sees his car, he's parked just out front, and just slowly crawls to his Lamborghini. And I guess
first he falls down those stairs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Stuntman style.
He throws himself down the stairs.
Which, by the way, I have to say, DiCaprio apparently had to wear a neck brace for a week after this scene, because he's like, it was basically, it was 3 days. Yeah, he's like, it was 3 days of crawling around He's like that sequence was 3 days long of them crawling around and rolling around on the floor, and he had to wear a neck brace for a week.
Oh my gosh. Well, good for him for committing.
Yes,
you know,
completely.
and so he gets to the point where he's crawling basically through this, where you kind of pull in your car to get out at the country club, and he's just dragging himself, drooling. And apparently, this whole part was improvised when he starts talking, and his wife calls, Margot Robbie calls. And he's like, I'm at the country club. And you can't. Yeah. She's like, what? What are you saying? You need to get home. Donnie's freaking out, right? Like something's wrong with Donnie. But like opening the car door with his foot and just dragging himself in there was totally improvised.
Dude, if you had to open a car door with your foot, that sucks no matter what. But in a fucking Lamborghini with those doors that open like that, because it opens and his foot's still in it and it keeps opening, and he's just like a ballerina on tippy toe to try and get it all the way up. And I'm like, what a beautiful way of showcasing this like super rich ding dong who's like got his Lamborghini and now he's having to open it with his foot.
Yes, and then cut to boom, he's at his house. Luckily he got back, not a scratch on him, not a scratch on the car.
Amazing job, yeah.
Made it safe. Great job, Jordan. And then he doesn't. Oh yeah, no, yeah. He drags himself in the house. Yes. And sees Donnie and is yelling at Donnie in the most mumbly thing you could think of. And honestly, like, DiCaprio is insanely good in this scene, and so is Jonah Hill. But Margot Robbie deserves the award for not laughing through this whole scene.
Oh yeah,
because this scene just keeps piling on and piling on of what they're doing and how things are building up, and he's yelling at him, and Jonah Hill, Donnie has no idea what he's mad. He doesn't even know he's mad. Like he could.
No, he has no idea. He's just get the fuck,
and he can't
get the fuck,
and, and he's just laughing, and like he's trying to choke him with the phone cord, but there's this big island in the way, and I guess originally Scorsese hated that island because it was just in the way. They couldn't move around as much as they wanted to with the camera and stuff like that, and they shot it in a real house.
Oh, wow,
and so
okay.
you can't move the island, but he said it ended up being amazing for comedic effect because they're crawling all over it.
On top of it, yeah.
He's wrapped up in the phone cord and he's chasing Donnie.
He climbs the phone cord like he's like climbing a mountain, and he's just like, each crab is like, yeah, and they're pulling it back and forth, and they just both have these like.
And Donnie doesn't even totally get what's going on, and then he starts choking on food. So let's step it up another level, and he's like dying in the other room and breaks the glass table.
Dude, the table just explodes. This is what I'm saying is like it turns into the Hangover. Like it turns into just totally. Like a full over the top comedy scene. Well,
get off the phone.
Before he chokes. And he's running after him, and then that fucking phone cord again trips him because it's around his leg, and he's like, trying to get it off, and like,
and for him to get up at all, he has some Coke stored somewhere in his kitchen and just snorts it to just make sure he's back on the level where he can walk again. So
it's full Popeye. It's a full Popeye.
Oh, it is
callback.
Oh, that's right. They cut away to Popeye. That's right.
Yeah, they cut away to Popeye, and he takes the Coke, and it's his spinach. And again, like it is. If this is the closest that we get from Marty Scorsese to do full-blown comedy, brilliant. But if he has it in him, I would love to just see like even darker, even more insane. Like, let's go someplace, because like the guy knows how to do it.
It will be hard to top, I think. Holy crap, what a scene. Just pure entertainment of debauchery craziness, and then he saves Donnie's life and goes and bangs on his chest
and passes out. And then let's get to the punchline, which all of this is the punchline on top of the punchline on top of the punchline. But when he wakes up and the FBI and the cops are there, and he's like, "Whatever, I've been here all night because
get out of my house,
get out of my house, assholes." And then we see the Lamborghini. And his getaway scot-free thing, the Lamborghini's just falling apart. Like he hit everything you could possibly hit.
And he's only a mile away. There's only so much damage, but we cut back to what actually happened and how he drove away, right? And we see him running over plants and everything, and
just going over medians. He hits every car in that parking lot before he drives out, and you know, that to me is like, all of it's brilliant, but that is the final thing, because in the moment, like, I was like, again, thinking of Jordan Belfort and being like, all right, buddy, embellish your story. Like, you were that fucked up and you drove with your feet or whatever and somehow got home unscratched. Like, give me a break.
The way he looks in the car, too, he's like...
just can't. It is like, I had no idea the movie was going to go to that place. It's one of the most lovely surprises.
Like, the movie's already extreme. You're like, they can't really go, like... I mean, yeah, there's craziness that happens, but, like... this just wasn't something you would expect, but the more you think about it, it is such a classic, amazing scene. So glad we were able to fit it into this series of that one scenes. So I don't know, awesome, awesome scene. It made me want to watch the whole movie again.
Same here. I know. I kept I watched like another 20 minutes and was like, hold on, I have other stuff I gotta do.
Yeah,
but
it definitely ropes you in. And honestly, I don't like. The 3 hours fly by, right? Because it's just, it's just his compulsive editing where it's go, go, go. It's fast paced always. And you go through this guy's life. And, you know, obviously it starts off a little calmer and then it's boom, boom, boom. The whole rest of the movie until the end. But what a scene. What a movie. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Scorsese, for all you've done. All right. We're going to begin a new festival next episode with Complicated Failures. I'm very excited about this one. We're going to get into some famous directors, not as great movies, at least critically. And we'll go ahead and examine that. We're starting with Steven Spielberg's Artificial Intelligence, AI. So make sure you tune in and like and subscribe for all of the fun and everything that we're going through, and play along with us if you can. Really appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
you guys.